Close your eyes and think of the ideal car for a tight, bumpy and twisty B road in the heart of the Peak District. Porsche Cayman, Lotus Exige, BMW M2? Whatever you pictured, it was probably nothing like a Dodge Viper ACR. Built as a track-focused version of the already nutty Viper SRT10, the ACR is one of the wildest looking cars I've ever seen on the road, and thanks to our friends at XL Leasing, we've been living with it for a few weeks. Power is the same as the standard Viper, but everything else is turned up to 11. It's the first Viper to be fitted with carbon ceramic brakes, adjustable Bilstein suspension, seriously sticky tyres made specifically for the ACR with massive 295 sections on the front and 355s on the rear. With the extreme aero package, the crazy front splitter, massive rear wing and diffuser add up to provide just under 800 kilos of downforce at top speed, the most of any production car at the time. In fact, with that aero package, the rear wing is so massive that the ACR's top speed is reduced by 14 miles per hour at 177 due to all that drag. Despite that drag holding it back down the long straights, the ACR still managed to post a seriously impressive 7-minute 1-second lap time at the Nürburgring. So it's clear, the ACR is very much intended for the track, and having driven it on track during our time with it, it is absolutely incredible, giving the sort of mind-scrambling grip and confidence that eggs you on to go faster and faster every lap. But we want to see how the Viper behaves where you wouldn't expect to see it. Because if you owned one of these, how could you resist jumping in early on a Sunday morning to attack your favourite country road?
So here we are in the very American Viper ACR on the not very American roads of the Peak District. Now, before we start, I've got to be honest, this is one of the only cars I can remember being a little bit nervous to drive. I mean, look at it. Add to that the fact that it's left-hand drive. The mirrors are absolutely useless, so I have no idea where the right-hand side of the car is. And that massive bonnet, yeah, it's a pretty intimidating beast. But once you've settled into it a bit, how does this monster of a machine behave way out of its comfort zone on some bumpy, twisty English roads? Well, first off, it's not actually as big as you'd think. It's about 3.5 inches narrower than something like an Aventador and a whole foot shorter as well. But the reason it feels so big is that long bonnet and the curvy wings that you can't really judge very well. Why is the bonnet that big? Well, underneath it is the biggest engine put in any production car for a long time. And it's actually pretty amusing when people ask you what engine it has, seeing their faces when you say that it's an 8.4 litre. It's a V10, 645 horsepower and a whopping 813 newton meters of torque. But whilst I expected it to be brutal at any revs, that torque's made up at 5,000 RPM and it only revs to a little over 6. So it actually does pay to rev it out. It pulls all the way. But there's a noticeable step in performance above 4,000. And yeah, after that, it is every bit as brutal as you'd think. It is loud as well. It's not a musical noise like an Italian V10, but wow, it has just a lot of noise. It's just a brutal, powerful sound. And it's noisy all the time. There are no modes in this car. You know, the first thing we all did when we got in it was look for the sport button. But no, it's just on all the time. It's such a visceral experience to drive it. You know, it takes a bit of getting used to. It takes a while to build some confidence and sort of realise what it will do. I mean, the turning on it is unreal. You could spend a full day on track in this. Just get faster and faster. You're probably still getting faster by the end of the day because its capabilities are just that high. The turning is so sharp. I don't think I've ever driven anything with a front end like it. Some of these roads in the peaks just aren't made for it. But if you hit a smooth stretch like this, it absolutely comes alive. The brakes, they're quite grabby, but they're so powerful. Not had the slightest bit of fade yet. The overwhelming thing is just how involved you are in driving it. I mean, it's 9 degrees outside. I've got the aircon blowing cold and I am still sweating. It's a bit of a workout. But it's quite refreshing to get into a modern car and not have to fiddle with a load of modes. To actually have to build confidence and work with the car. To fluff a few gear changes and eventually get it right. It's that rewards you as a driver, and I haven't really driven any modern cars that involve the driver as much as this. Now it's obvious from the way the ACR is set up that it's made for the track. But if you buy one of these, you're going to want to drive it on the road, aren't you? You're going to want to take it out on a Sunday morning. And that's why we're here, just to see if it actually does work on the road. And if you get the right road, yeah, it does. Yeah, a smooth stretch of tarmac and it absolutely comes alive. Just avoid anything that's not smooth, which is kind of hard in the UK, isn't it? Let's try a first gear pull. Oh my god. The acceleration is every bit as brutal as you think. And the gearbox, you can probably see how much I'm having to manhandle it. It's so heavy. But the gears are that long that you don't really have to use it as often as you'd think. Most roads you could probably just do in second gear. I mean, first tops out about 62 miles an hour. How crazy is that? That you can do a 0 to 60 run in just first gear. And actually off the line, it has so much grip. It's just got grip everywhere. You know, the whole experience is pretty visceral, pretty brutal. It's awesome.
I think you can tell that the Viper ACR is quite an experience at any speed. I love how it takes a bit of time, skill and frankly balls to get the best from it, and there aren't many cars you can say that about these days. Add to that the fact that it looks absolutely ridiculous on the road, and you're unlikely to ever see one in the UK, so cool factor is very high as well. On the wrong road it's pretty unpleasant, to the point where you might need your chiropractor on speed dial thanks to the solid suspension and a good set of earplugs for the piercing drone at 4,000 RPM. Usable daily cruiser, it most certainly is not. On the right road though, at the right time, there's nothing quite like it. It intimidates, challenges and excites like the best analogue brutes, but handles with the precision of a modern supercar. It's seriously fast on a smooth road, but what makes this unlike almost any other modern car is the way it involves the driver. You have to be awake, you have to put in the work, and the reward is one of the most exhilarating driving experiences you can get. So a massive thank you to XL Leasing for letting us experience the ACR. We're going to be sad to see this one go.